The year is 1299. Anatolia is a land in chaos. Mongol armies sweep from the east, crumbling empires vanish into dust, and fractured beyliks fight for survival. Yet, from this storm of destruction, a tiny frontier principality rises. A principality that will grow into one of history's greatest empires, the Ottoman Empire. But how was it born? And what made it so different from its rivals? Today, we uncover the dramatic origins of the Ottomans, a story of faith, ambition, and relentless conquest. To understand the birth of the Ottomans, we must first understand the world they inherited. By the late 13th century, Anatolia was a graveyard of empires. The mighty Byzantine Empire was a shadow of its former self, its cities shrinking, its armies weakened, its frontiers collapsing. The Seljuk Turks, who once ruled Anatolia, were shattered by the Mongols at the Battle of Kozai-Dagh in 1243. Their empire was no more, only fragments remained. In this vacuum, countless Turkish warrior clans, called Ghazis, roamed the frontiers. Fierce, restless, and inspired by the ideal of jihad, they fought the Byzantines to the west and rival Turks to the east. It was in this violent borderland, where civilizations clashed, that the seed of the Ottoman Empire was planted. At the heart of this story is one man, Osman ibn Ertuğrul. Osman was born into the Kayi tribe of the Oghuz Turks. His father, Ertuğrul, had already carved out a small territory in northwestern Anatolia, near the Byzantine frontier. When Ertuğrul died, Osman inherited a modest principality, small, vulnerable, but filled with opportunity. What made Osman extraordinary was not just his military skill, but his vision. He saw beyond tribal rivalries. He dreamed of a state that could unify Turks and expand into the decaying lands of Byzantium. According to Ottoman chroniclers, Osman had a dream, a vision in which a great tree grew from his chest, its branches stretching across the world. Whether legend or not, this dream symbolized his destiny, to found a dynasty that would rule for centuries. But dreams alone cannot build an empire. Osman's strength came from his warriors, the Ghazis. These men were more than fighters. They were adventurers, mercenaries, and believers who saw themselves as holy warriors against the Christian Byzantines. The Ottomans' frontier location gave them a unique advantage. To the east, rival Turkish beyliks competed for scraps. But to the west lay the fractured Byzantine Empire, rich in land, but weak in defense. Osman knew where opportunity lay. With lightning raids, his warriors struck Byzantine villages and forts. Victory after victory brought more recruits, more prestige, and more land. The Ottomans were becoming more than a tribe. They were becoming a state. The true test of Osman's leadership came with the capture of Bilecik and Yenişehir. These small but strategic towns became the first urban centers of the Ottoman Principality. From there, Osman's warriors turned their eyes toward the great Byzantine city of Bursa. Though Osman would not live to see it fall, his son Orhan captured Bursa in 1326. This victory was transformative. Why? Because Bursa wasn't just a fortress, it was a city. A city meant administration, taxes, and trade. It became the first Ottoman capital, and from it, the Ottomans could expand like never before. So, why did the Ottomans succeed where so many others failed? First, they were flexible. Unlike many rivals bound by rigid tribal loyalties, the Ottomans welcomed outsiders. Greeks, Armenians, Slavs, many found a place under Ottoman rule. Skilled administrators, artisans, and soldiers were absorbed into the Ottoman system. Second, they were pragmatic. They used Islamic law to legitimize their rule, but also borrowed Byzantine techniques of governance. They balanced tradition with innovation. And third, they were lucky. The Byzantines were weak, the Mongols were distracted, and the other Turkish beyliks spent more time fighting each other than uniting. The Ottomans filled the vacuum. By the time Orhan ruled, the Ottomans were no longer just raiders, they were state builders. Bursa became a flourishing capital. Mosques and markets rose, and institutions were created to manage their growing territory. But what truly announced the Ottomans to the world was their expansion into Europe. In 1354, after a devastating earthquake, the Ottomans seized the fortress of Gallipoli. This single event gave them a permanent foothold in Europe, and from there, the empire would grow into a transcontinental power. The humble principality of Osman had become a dynasty that would one day stretch across 3 continents, rule over millions, and last more than 600 years. The Ottoman Empire was not born overnight. It rose from the ashes of collapsing states, fueled by the ambition of a frontier warrior, Osman, and carried forward by generations of determined rulers. What began as a dream in a small Anatolian tribe would become one of the greatest empires in history. And it all started with Osman's vision. This is how the Ottoman Empire was founded.